some precautions got to be taken and some risks avoided. And turnovers, the ball security. That's that's the big one. So plenty to learn from, plenty to coach.
Good afternoon and happy Monday, everybody. Maize and Blue Reviews. Good afternoon, Michigan football. And I'm pleased to be joined by former Wolverines, Jim Scarcelli, and Jerry Diorio. Guys, how you doing?
I'm great, Danny. We're going, man. We're 3-0. We're getting ready to go to Big Ten play, and Rutgers ain't no joke, but we're where we want to be. 3-0, healthy, rolling.
Doing great, Denny, down here in the Ozark Mountains in Bronson, Missouri. On vacation a little bit.
Well, we'll find out why you're down there in the Ozarks, not maybe reliving the Netflix series, but I know why you were there, so we will get to that. Scar, I like you. You have elevated your intensity where if I didn't know any better, I could tell that Michigan was getting ready to start the conference season. They're going to have to crank it up a little bit. They know that, the non-conference, you can put it in the rearview mirror, and now the games are going to get tougher, and I can detect that in your voice, and I know what that means, and, you're ready to go. Take a swing at it.
Yeah, Danny, something that I think we haven't really talked about. Yeah, look, Jim does a great job, and our coaching staff, they do a great job of getting us ready to play every week, okay? But Jerry knows, and I know sometimes as a coach, it's hard to get people ready to go for ECU and UNLV, but we will have total focus. We'll have a great week of practice. This is a 3-0 team. This is Big Ten play starting. The sense of urgency, the attention to detail. It won't be as hard for coaches to get from the whole team. So that's going to be happening this week.
Jerry, let's start you out with a question, and it comes from Vince. He says, as someone who never played high-level ball, should we view Saturday as a positive, or should we, as many do, think the sky is falling? Go ahead.
Well, no, I think there were a lot of great things that happened in that game, and you'll see some on the film. We turned the ball over with 3 interceptions. Never going to win big games like that, but that doesn't mean the sky's falling. I mean, I saw those plays, and I see what JJ saw, and I think if he was a little bit more patient, he doesn't make those mistakes. I think he leads some people into really big plays. So, no, there's no reason to think the sky is falling. I will say this, though, however, and I think Coach Harbaugh just hit on it in the press conference. When you win, you don't look at the bad as much as you look at the good. And you try to look at the bad. You try to coach, but sometimes you tend to let that overlook some small things. And I'm hoping that's not where we're at. I'm hoping we understand that where we are is we beat some teams we should beat. And let's move on from there and get better.
I could tell Harbaugh was more animated and excited to be up at the podium this afternoon than he has been. And he admitted that he is a better coach now for being sidelined. There were a few things. He talked about some of them, but, you're not coaching. You're not on the sideline. You're watching it on TV. You're watching it in another state. You have that different perspective. And then something, for him, I'm sure he didn't say this, but, something taken away. And he says he's going to implement a few things on how they watch football, how he didn't say dot his I's and cross his T's, but, with the analysts and everything, so nothing like this happens again. So creating that positive out of it. And I like what, when somebody goes through some adversity there, or Blake Corum said the same thing when he was sidelined last year, and then he's a spectator. He's been playing all of his life. Well, it gives you that different perspective. And for Harbaugh, I had that. Corum said he's a better player for being able to watch the game on the side like that. And Harbaugh admitted that now he's going to be a better coach too. So I thought those things were, a little bit enlightening from the coach today when he admitted that. Well, we're going to talk more about Bowling Green, guys.
Hey, Danny, real quick, Harbaugh back. He's worth 1.5 points. His presence is worth 1.5 points.
Well, Scar, I needed him to be worth 15 and a half. If he was,
I think he's worth 1.5 though. So if you're looking at the line, his presence, it's subtle, it's small, but it matters. Our leader's back.
Jerry, what did you think of the game overall against BG? You just mentioned about whether it was how you view it, but overall, what do you say to the Michigan faithful that want to hear your opinion on the game?
Well, first of all, I think you're going to see an offensive line surge. You're going to see tight ends get much better in their blocking. They're running their feet. You'll see them running their feet tremendously, pushing piles. And again, that's where you feel pancakes. I always used to remember when a defensive player, it's hard to play defense. When a defensive player reaches, that's when an offensive player, as long as he's engaged and his feet are moving, that's when you get pancakes. And I saw a lot of those, and especially from Barnum at tight end. I was really impressed with his blocking.
Scar, overall, we talked about the game after the game into Saturday night, but you've had a day and a little bit now to reflect, looking back on Saturday. What do you want to highlight?
Yeah, Danny, I looked at some of those turnovers. Man, some of that's coaching too, man. The one in the end zone, the Roman Wilson, their spacing was bad, and Sharon Moore addressed it. A lot of that stuff is coaching and correctable. We want to beat up JJ, but there's a lot of guys involved with some of that stuff, and you're going to look at film, and like I said, I still feel the same way. Our defense has played 3 games good enough to win a Big Ten championship. Our offensive line was really good Saturday, blocking tight. Backs were good. Donovan Edwards is getting better. Corum's getting to where he needs to be. I'm still fired up, totally fired up. Just made some mistakes at the quarterback position, and some of that is going to get corrected.
Yeah, I'm still pretty high on J.J. McCarthy. Like, watching him throw those 2 interceptions in the playoff game against TCU, those weren't good. But, his mentality, you listen to him and everything that, his makeup, he understands how he's got to shoulder a lot of the blame when you're the quarterback that way. But he's also seems like somebody that can handle adversity. And I don't think this is going to affect him. Like, you could make a case that, the 3 interceptions that he should have had a 4th on the touchdown to Cornelius Johnson. You could say that he could have had a 5th turnover himself on that first series of the third quarter when he fumbled. I mean, that's a lot of those are a lot of negative plays and a lot that you can be down on yourself. I don't think that he's the kind of guy, just, we've watched him now for 2+ years. Meditation, all of those kind of things. He has the makeup where, he can handle. I don't think he's going to let this affect him negatively. If anything, he will learn from it. I know that sounds like, hey, that sounds like a little coach speak, but that's me looking at him. I think he's got that mental makeup to move on and not let it affect him. What do you think?
Yeah, Jim's not recruiting soft guys at that position. This kid's been through it. He's been through it in high school and in college. He's played in a lot of big games. Jerry, you agree with me?
Absolutely. Well, here's the thing I saw from JJ this week. I think especially that pass in the end zone, if he would have been a little bit more patient, I think that breaks in the corner of the end zone. And I think that's where Coach Harbaugh wants him to throw the ball, in the corner of the end zone. So our guy gets it or nobody gets it. And I think he was just a little bit too anxious on a couple of those throws and didn't read what he was supposed to read. The tight end is being covered by an outside linebacker or a corner that can fall back in on that play. If he waits another second, that ball is in the end zone wide open. And I think that's what they're going to come out of this with. I think they're going to learn a lot from this video, this game, that we need to be a little bit more patient. And the offensive line looks like they're pretty good up front on pass protection. We can be a little bit more patient back there, JJ.
Yeah, bottom line, Danny, he's a mentally tough kid. I'm right in line with you, man. That kid's got steel ones down there. I ain't worried about him.
Totally agree.
Yeah, and I think, I had somebody text me yesterday saying, hey, now he is a big Michigan fan, and he's looking at the bright side of things. He's saying, look, it took JJ last year to have the wheels come off a little bit of that TCU game. This one, he does it against BG, and, hopefully he'll be able to file that and move on. I mean, that's looking at it the bright way, getting that bad game. If you're going to have one, if it's inevitable, have it against BG. Don't have it at Penn State or, even this week against Rutgers. So that's the way to take a look at it. Vince, with a follow-up, Scar, I'm going to ask you, what you think of Vince's question. He says, do you think the forced deep throws to Kojo or JJ trying to get him involved with some touchdowns? The team is tight-knit, so is it possible JJ wanted to get Kojo some love, and so he forced it?
You know, having Jim Harbaugh as your coach, who played 15 years in the NFL, he's been dealing with that. Jim knows, hey, he's always got 4 guys always open. So Jim is the greatest counselor to deal with JJ on handling that kind of pressure he's getting from his receivers. So I would not think that JJ is going to be pressured into doing something like that. He's going to do, look at his progressions, who's open. And I'm going to point out that Kojo touchdown that, like you said, could have been picked off. I thought he should have thrown underneath. But I don't think JJ is going to be influenced by that. I would hope the heck not, because that's trouble when you start doing that.
All right, we're going to go around the Big Ten, and we've got the film coming up. As always, if you're out here watching this show live, you can fire a question to the guys, and one comes in from Jason. It's directed right at Jerry. He says, Coach Diorio, in your career, would you consider the 08 win versus Elliot Uzelac and that St. Joseph's team, 32-31 in overtime, one of your best coaching memories?
Jason, I appreciate that personal question. However, I'm going to say no, because my personal best would be when we won one in overtime, 49-48 against Dexter. Yes, that was a great game. That 32-31 game was memorable. It was up and down, both sides of the field, hard-hitting game. Both locker rooms looked like mash wards afterwards after that game. But that was a very good game, and I was very fortunate to be a part of it.
Good job, Jason. All right, around, I don't know, the Penn State and Illinois, if Illinois wasn't turning the ball over every series, they might have been able to. Their defensive line played pretty well, held up against the run pretty good. That was the one game that I saw a lot of. Actually, I saw a lot of the Michigan State game, and I don't know what more I need to say about them getting blasted by Washington like they did. But I don't know, Drew Aller, I wasn't, like he could still be a great quarterback. Obviously, he can really throw it. He's a big guy, but it wasn't like he was, look like Andrew Luck or anything back there. It's going to be a little bit of a while before I think he gets the best out of him. Any observations from any football you watched on Saturday?
Yeah, I'll go first, Jerry. A couple teams I looked at. Penn State is big, thick, tough defensive linemen, offensive linemen. They will have them in the Buckeyes. No question, their lines will be the best we see. The quarterback is a big, strong kid, but our quarterback moves better. We're going to have to outcoach them. We got to have a great game to beat that team. That is a darn good football team. Michigan State is about what I was hoping. They got problems in the defensive line. The quarterback hasn't gotten comfortable yet. So I looked at them. And who else did I look at? Illinois was better a little bit against Penn State. We don't have to deal with them. Maryland is about the same, Danny. Again, I see them again. They're not better than last year. So if we play our game, we should be good again. Indiana, I didn't get to look at them. Jerry, go ahead. Anybody that you've seen?
Well, I was at the Western Iowa game in Iowa City. And first of all, a great tradition. The greatest tradition, the wave. It's inspiring. It's bone chilling. It's just something I'll never forget about. It was a great, great experience. Iowa, I got to see a couple of our former players. I think, and this goes back to JJ's situation. I think JJ has progressed tremendously over the last 3 years under the tutelage of Jim Harbaugh and the system. And I think the system helps him more than anything. I watched McNamara, and to be honest with you, I think he digressed, and I think he digressed because he's not in the system that's allowing him to do more things that he can do. He's not as mobile as most quarterbacks in the Big Ten, and he's trying to stand back in that pocket and drill things, and I don't think they're offensive line blocks as well as some.
Hey,
I'll
real
tell you
quick,
this,
Danny.
Jerry, I wanted to jump in and say something about that game. I took Western Michigan in a trifecta parlay this weekend, and I saw that they got that first touchdown. I was feeling pretty good about it, but I know Ferentz, the offensive coordinator there, has it built into his contract about how many points he's scoring. He's down there at the end trying to cover the spread and also put more points up, so that's going to pad his wallet a little bit. That could work against you. I don't know. Were there conversations about that, Jerry, as you watched it, or were you thinking about that yourself?
Oh, I was definitely thinking about it, and I'm going to tell you what I think. I think it's one of the worst pieces in the contract you can have. This puts this coordinator in a position where he's going to have to keep first teamers in all longer than what normally he would do, and that calls for injury. And so he's rolling the dice every time he does something like he did on Saturday. Going for it on 4th and 2 on the 2-yard line with a 31-point or a 24-point lead. It looks bad. It just looks bad. And he's throwing the ball with 30 seconds left to go, and he's got a 24-point game. It looks bad. You hit another nail on the head when you said about the cover. Think about it. People are going to start wanting to bet Iowa and take the cover on that because they know Iowa's always going to look to run up the score now and try to keep that contract in line.
So the lamb chops are over for them, Jerry, and they're not.
That's true.
Penn State this week.
True.
Hey, Denny, real quick. I looked at our our next 3 opponents. Nebraska started a different quarterback. They're gonna they're not as difficult to defend as under Scott Frost, but he'll run the heck out of his quarterbacks, which always makes it difficult because now he has 2. And the other kid looked pretty good. They beat Northern Illinois, but they play hard. They run that different defense, winnable game. But we gotta be lined up, ready to go. Minnesota went over to play that real good team in North Carolina with that superstar quarterback, and that kid was outstanding. Minnesota played them tough, but they just didn't have enough. But those games are winnable, but we can't be playing around with 3 turnovers against the next 3 football games we got.
I am with you on that. I guess, I'm going to tell you now, Jerry, if our numbers went up views-wise while you were on here, it was going to mean an extra lunch over at Village Kitchen in Ann Arbor. But I don't want you guys fudging the numbers or anything because of that, a little bit different, something like that. But we'll have to see. All right. It wasn't in the Big Ten, but I stayed up late watching Colorado and Colorado State. That was a pretty entertaining game. It lasted for a million years. But, man, I was surprised at how many cheap shots that the Rams deployed over there. You guys both coached a long time, and played at Michigan, like some of these little extracurricular shots that were going on over there. That's some dirty football that was taking place with Colorado State. Any of you guys see that?
Denny and Jerry, Jerry, Michigan State was the game where you had the talking when I played. I don't want to say they're all loud because there's a lot of great guys at Michigan State that are friends of mine, but there was mouth in that game, and you really have to and it's the same thing now for our players in that football game. But other than that, I never had it. But those rivalry games, man, they get so passionate. And the coaches got involved, and those players were fired up out of their minds on both sides, especially the Ram guys. But heck of a game. Go ahead, Jerry, your thoughts.
No, I remember playing Ohio State in Columbus my junior year, and Steve threw a interception right before half. It was just a desperate play. Right before half, the kid runs out of bounds, and then out of nowhere, this kid's coming over and trying to take a shot at me. And that's rivalry games. Those are the kinds of things you got to keep your head on the swivel, they say, and that's what you got to do. When you're in a rivalry game, lock and load and keep your head on the swivel and get ready.
Did you guys, in high school, I had a basketball coach who, even if we wore a hat, not even sunglasses, but if we wore a hat inside the gym, he read us the riot act, and he would say, "This place is our, church. We respect it. You will always not wear a hat. You'll never wear a hat. You certainly won't be wearing sunglasses." And so Marvell came out there and said, "Look, I'm going to, I don't know if he said he was respecting the game. I'm paraphrasing it, but he basically, said, to is right at Dion, for wearing shades and a hat. Did you guys have rules like that as coaches?
Denny, I've coached against guys. Look, that's basically a cultural difference. Okay, those are cultural difference between this coach and that coach in terms of what they believe in. And I played against coaches that were loose and they did things differently. Jerseys weren't tucked in. Different program, man. And hey, at Michigan, we had, we were pretty strict on how we dressed, and we weren't going to have those rules. You couldn't wear a hat in the building, Jerry. You remember how it was, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And then and then there's other coaches that they don't believe in it, man. So I've scrimmaged teams and played teams, totally different cultural views on how they want to develop their young men.
Did either of you guys see the attire that Biff Poggi was wearing at the end of the Charlotte game? Comment in on that.
I saw it. Hey, I saw it. That's what he did in high school. That's Biff. That's what he believes in, man. He's loose. He's hanging out. He's got the cutoff sweatshirt, and it's just what he believes in. Some guys, not too many, but you see some pro guys wear the suit and tie. But yeah, you just that's his thing, and he goes with it, and it is what he is.
Yeah,
that's totally correct. You got to be who you are, and Dion's going to be Dion, and he's going to do things, and other coaches are going to do their things. I remember us being very strict: tie, coat, no hats, all that good stuff. And Barry Switzer, he's playing Ohio State, and I think it's 1975, and he comes in, and they're throwing the ball and frisbee all over the game, all over the field Friday before the game. So it's just you got to be who you are, and your team's going to reflect it.
Biff Poggi, basketball shorts and cutoff shirt, and Tom Landry, nice tie there, and perfectly dressed. So
yeah, I think though, Jerry, we played against Jay Norvell. He played at Iowa back in our era. The head coach at Colorado State. And Danny, listen, as a coach, you're making decisions. You're developing these young men not more than just in a lot more ways than just football. So those are things that what matters to you, and it obviously mattered to Jay Norvell from a cultural standpoint of the development of young men. I think that's really what was getting at him from that standpoint. It wasn't just football. It was we're developing young men, and they were on opposite ends of the program there in terms of what they think is right for the development of young men.
Before we watch the film, a question from Brian, who says he's got an offensive line question. Well, we'll go to Jerry. He played offensive line. Are the coaches reaching for something with all of the O-line changes, or are they trying to find the best starters? Are they trying to find better pass protection? What do you think, Jerry?
Well, I think they're playing a lot of people, see who the best is. And what better way to find out who's your best offensive line than playing them against the same personnel as everybody on the first line. So that's why I think they're putting all these offensive linemen in, see who really is the best and see how much depth, and we're getting more depth. I'll tell you right now, I watched the film and I see Michigan. They run so many different tweaks off the same play that it's very difficult to read them. And that offensive line is it seems to be very intelligent because you don't see a lot of missed assignments up there. But they do a lot up front. They run a lot of plays with a lot of formations, which I guarantee you is going to be a headache for defensive coordinators.
I don't know if Scar was talking to Jim Harbaugh right before our post game, because as soon as the game ended, we went on. But Scar said he liked what he saw from Ladarius Henderson, and Harbaugh today was very complimentary of the transfer from Arizona State. Said he liked what he saw from Ladarius Henderson as well. So you guys are on the same page. That leads us to the film. If you guys are ready for it, you just have to
roll whenever you are, Danny.
Well, I've got to put the tape up. There it is. So let's get to it.
All right, here we go. This the first play on defense, and I tell you, the first down, and Minner, he'll come right out of the blocks. Like I said, I was saying I like to get a little feel for the snap count, and they come out and throw a fade, and I thought it was a catch right away when they threw it. But anyway, just a quick point. He does not mess around. He will come out bringing this safety pressure, Kid makes a heck of a play. He's covered. That's that. Move on to the next play. Here
All
we
right,
go on
pause it here
offense.
for a second, Scar. Let me just say
Already
something.
on to the next play, Jared. Go ahead. Let's get on this play here.
No, we're good. We're good. Let's go to the next one.
So here we go. This is go ahead, Jared.
Okay, let's see. Look at the defensive end up top, the outside linebacker. Let's run this back and pause it right at the beginning, right there, Scar. See the man outside of the tight end. When I was going into coaching, I was fortunate enough to play for Don Butchie, legend at Cardinal Mooney High School. And I was in a coaches meeting with him one time, and he told me, he said, you better have your best, toughest, strongest competitor athlete at that outside linebacker, because there are so many things that outside linebacker is responsible for. And this is an example of him not coming down, allowing the kick out so wide, and look at that wall that's made. Now, when our outside linebackers play this a lot differently, a lot better. Jim, didn't you play that outside linebacker position way back in the
back in the day, Jerry? You can't hide edge players. You got to have good athletes.
Hey, those are when Don Butchie would set his defense up. He would say, "Who are our two best athletes? Who are our toughest kids?" And we're putting them on the corners, and those guys better be ready to take on everything.
Anyway, that play was really well executed. Let's take a look at this next play, Jerry. There's conflict. This is a conflict play call. Okay, we just got done ripping them with power. Just got done ripping that defense, right? So this is a great play call. It looks like power. Here we come with the reverse. Okay, that's why I like the play call. I like it as a guy who had coached defense, because my guys are thinking, yeah, they just ripped me in here. You just ran power. You pulled that guard, and now it all looks the same. And here we come with the reverse. It's executed. JJ's getting somebody. We pick up a good 11 yards. We'll go on to the next play. Jerry, you cover this one here.
Okay, well, this is basically a wham setup. But the offensive line is wedging. This play is made by the offensive line. They are moving their feet. They're moving piles, and then Corum sticks it up there right behind them, and he's moving the pile with them. You're going to get 4 yards on that kind of attitude. You're going to get your 4 yards on that kind of attitude. That's a well-developed play. You got a great double team. They're very patient. They take the 3 technique right back into the linebacker. This is much better than a play we'll see later. But these two are taking that 3 technique down. Tight ends, much better blocking. I think Barnum is a very capable blocker. He reminds me a lot of you, Scar, with that long leverage. You can't get into his body that much. And he's got that long leverage, and he's got great feet, moving his feet. He just looks really good. Great surge, great movement here on the offensive line. Gets the linebackers in the mess, and they just move that pile into the end zone.
Look at these dudes, man. Danny, that's how you win football games, man. Just moving the line of scrimmage. All right, here we go. Touchdown. So here we go back on defense. Let's take a look. Rush guys. I believe this, Danny and Jerry. I'll tell you, I've watched Jenkins and Mason Graham, but these two young guys, they're not as big, but, Grant and and Benny in there, these guys move their feet well. They may be better pass rushers than the 2 older guys, because here's a 4-man package, and we've got some serious pass rushers in here. We got the Isaiah out here on the edge. So anyway, this group is a good-looking pass rush group. I mean, obviously, I have faith in all 4 of our inside guys, and we get them out of bounds. But I like the 2 young guys rushing the quarterback.
I thought we had good pressure on the quarterback all day from those 2. That 2 position right there, we're getting good bull rush and good movement up front.
All right, here we go. Punt return. This was awesome. I was on punt return in college, and we did a great job coaching it in high school. And you put and this is a right return. I knew right away when they punted the ball where the ball was, and I just had a good feel about it. You put good athletes here, Denny. You put good athletes here. They got a dog and jam and dog. Okay, what you want to teach here is you want to make it look like you're rushing to block the punt, but you're going to take this guy and you want to wall him right back into the punter. You're going to take this guy, wall him right back into the punter. That's called the jam. And then when he starts to cover, you just kind of stay in his hip pocket and run with him. Okay, but these guys do a great job here at the top. We got a right return on. Look at all this field out here. And this kid kicks it right here. I knew we were in good shape. And let's get out to that right side. Don't clip. We do a great job here not clipping. And this is what I talk about. This is what we used to talk about, dogging him. Okay, he's right on that hip right here. Okay, you just run with him. Stay right on that hip. Don't clip him here. Right on that hip. And we're gone. We're picking up. I mean, that's like a turnover. We're pretty much starting where they punted the football. So that's a great job. And, you know, I was a young guy on this team, Jerry, when I wasn't playing much. And that's what's good about not putting starters on here. These guys are fired up. They're not starting. You know, so most of these guys are just special team guys. So they're excited because that's their deal, you know, punt return. So I like it. It's a great job. Let's move on here. Go ahead, Jerry.
Okay, let's see. We got 2 tight ends in here. We got 12 personnel in here. So it's a run-pass formation anyways. I think JJ, I'm not crazy about the read because this linebacker can scoot underneath that if he widens out a little bit better. But, that's great arm strength by JJ. It's just a great throw. Okay, now this one. I'm going to this is a counter. You got the guard and tackle pulling. The guard's kicking out, and the tackle's pulling right behind him. That's a great job. What I'm not crazy about here is the double team on the 3 technique. Like we saw before, we got great movement on that 3 technique and got the linebacker caught up in the wash. This time we don't get movement, and it's pretty much a stalemate between the tackles. So that hole is restricted. If we get more movement, we're going to take that 3 technique back to the linebacker. The other thing I see here, look at Corum and look at JJ out here by themselves. If you look at number 33, he's going with that tackle right now. He's going right there. If we're reading that, we got actually an option coming out the other side. And I'm sure Michigan's got that in their playbook. Because
Jerry, that's one thing I don't understand. I wish we did a better job carrying out fakes here with the quarterback. Really step harder and carry out that fake. But it's, anyway, the play's blocked. It's executed. It's nice. 10-yard rip.
One more thing on this play. One more thing. I'm going to reiterate this because I liked what I saw with this kid. Watch 89 make another pancake block because he keeps his feet moving. He stays engaged. He keeps his feet moving. And when he reaches, that's when you pancake people.
Yeah,
boom.
He's definitely the real deal.
Boom.
He's no question. He's our best blocking tight end.
That's great footwork and great tenacity.
All right, what do we got here? We've got this is old school, Jerry. This is our stuff. 2 tight ends, fullback, 1 receiver, and we're 2nd and 1. We got 2 different tight ends in the game, and this is why I have this indicated here, Denny. This is why we need 2 tight ends that can block at the line of scrimmage. Take a look at this play. This is Hivner down here. We're trying to get a yard, and look what they do to him. I mean, we got to have a second tight end that can block. So this is not what we want.
No, I agree with that. Now, one thing I will say, though, on this, Scar, what we used to – that's a tough block for a tight end or for anybody. When you're blocking down and that play's going inside, that's a tough block. What we used to do is we would arc that tight end and kick that kid out because when you arc the tight end, meaning tight end loops out to the outside, when you arc them, that kid's coming upfield. It's an easier kick out.
I understand, but you got to put them in conflict. You got to block them occasionally too. You got to do both.
Absolutely.
And, that time we chose to block. I mean, we didn't. I like this. This would give me problems defensively. If I'm coaching against Michigan, and we go, this is the first time we've done this, I believe. But here's 88 in here again. He's blocking better here. But when we motion out JJ, and now we got. See, this kid has shown the ability to throw the football. He did it against Iowa a couple years back. So they have to honor that. I would like to see a package where we do more different runs. And this is a decent looking play in here. We pick up a few yards.
Can you imagine that play, Scar, in that formation with Corum in the backfield too?
Yeah, well, either one, but I think it's better with. See, I'd rather if you got Corum in there, it's not as hard for me to defend because he has.
No, I'm talking about Corum and Edwards in there at the same time.
This is the problem for me because this kid shows me he can throw. So I want what I don't want to go against is the kid that has shown he can throw the football. When you do that, that makes it much more difficult to defend. Corum in there, that's just me, Jared. I'm not as worried about Corum as I would be Donovan Edwards.
Again, let me say this, Bar. I'm with you on that. Okay, what I'm saying is put Donovan Edwards in at quarterback and Corum in the backfield with them. Now you okay. I think you got something there.
Anyway, Jerry, why don't you analyze this play? And I put in the box here, is this coaching? Is it spacing? Is it the play design? Is it JJ? Is it Barnum? Is it Roman? It's jacked up. It's like basketball. You got to have good spacing.
I think this play is where you become a lot more patient. He doesn't throw the ball there because that's the interception. Watch Wilson. He gives it another second. He's in the corner of the end zone by himself. This kid comes off of Barnum to make that play. He doesn't have that play if he waits another second and lets Wilson get to the corner. The spacing is bad. You're right. If he would have let him clear, he would have had it. You're right. Yeah. So I put that on coaching. I put that on the whole deal there. It's Barnum. It's Roman. It's JJ. It's coaching. And I'm not beating up JJ so much there, but it is what it is. Let's move on. Here we go on defense. Give them hope. Every defense has a weakness. Bowling Green, they found it here. We're doing different things, different stunts, and we got a big gap in the middle of this defense here. And, are we bringing him up? Are we dropping him? They don't know pre-snap, but somehow they figured it out. They go right where we got nobody. So I give old Leffler credit for that. I don't know how he figured it out, but that's it is what it is. He found the weakness because we're dropping here. He didn't go back there. He came over here. We got to get him tackled. That's a little too much, but I'm not beating nobody up. Every defense has its weaknesses. Let's move on. Jerry, you take the next play. You want to take this one, Jerry? Go ahead. This is on defense. Let's run this through. Okay, who is it? 7. Is that Wilson or Page?
Makari Page.
Okay,
yep.
First of all, a couple things. This is what I'm talking about. Look at McGregor over here on the outside linebacker, number 7.
Jerry, you know how we used to coach this, and you know how I coached it, and I was going to analyze this because I played it, I coached it. Anyway, what we try to teach here, Danny, here's what you try to teach. Okay, he's getting a down block, so you want to punch. Try to disrupt that release. All right, here's 2 coming at you. Here's 2 guys coming at you. What you want to do is come down in here and blow up the inside shoulder of this guy and try to disrupt this second guy. Try to take out 2 so they can't get to they can't get here. And I think McGregor's technique is that he's kind of giving himself up. He's not doing anything to disrupt this guy. And he's able to come out. And, Jerry, this is a problem with the rule changes. I mean, I like the rule change, but look what this 300-pound kid does to this 200-pound kid.
I agree. Now, here's what I'm saying on this, Scar. I see him getting his hands on the tight end, which is good. I think he could get on there a little bit better and even be more square to the line of scrimmage. The linebacker in this case, I think we used to call it crowbar, meaning throw the forearm through the outside shoulder of that tight end. Page totally whiffs on this play. All the bad things that are going on in this play, if Page makes that play, it's a 4-yard gain.
Yeah, but I think McGregor's got to be better there in my thought. He's got to try to do everything he can to disrupt those 2 guys getting out. Here's rush 3. No, we're dropping. We're only rushing 3. I think this is a good job by Harrell, Denny. He knows the down and distance. It's short yardage. It's 2nd and 10 here. He knows the down. Anyway, I like it that it's a short drop and we get a good tackle there. I think that was it was 2nd and 2. Anyway, I like the drop. Good job there. Let's move on. got to know down and distance in terms of where your drop is. Your coaches will tell you that. You got to know that. Let's take a look here. I like this play because I'm seeing more and more of this play. This is old school option stuff, but they're running zone over here to this side, and we're in our 3-4. We ran it a few times Saturday. This is old school. What we ran 95% of the time back in our day. We got 3 big guys in the game and 2 big edge players with 2 linebackers. So we ran this package, 4 or 5 plays on Saturday. So this is in. A lot of it had to do with what Bowling Green's doing with this personnel. But anyway, this is option. And this stuff is good because we're going to see it against Indiana and we're going to see it against Nebraska. And and we do a decent job defending this. But, guys, what option does to you defensively is it forces a defensive football player every time you line up, you have to ask yourself, in every scheme that you run, you have to ask yourself, who do I have on option? So it puts more mental stress on you. Anyway, we're bringing this pressure here. We get this corner coming. And maybe our coaches knew something out of that formation, but we get it stopped, and it's just something. I'm glad we saw it because we're gonna see that stuff coming up here. Go ahead, Jerry, take this one here.
Go ahead, let it run. Second and 1, what a great time to throw the ball. All right, now I'm going to take this play here, run it back one more time, Scar. This is the wham play off the zone, off the inside zone blocking scheme. Corum's got 2 paths he can go by, and you'll see Edwards later on in the game. He kind of misses this path. Look at the offensive tackle on the left side, and look at the wham block by Langford by number 18 on the outside edge. The running back's got 2 paths. He can go where he went, or he can bend it right back behind that offensive tackle and that wham block, and there's a hole right over there because you got the linebacker pinned, you got everything pinned, and a kick out there. So it's a beautiful play design that can hit a number of different ways.
Anyway, my thought on this play, and I've seen it, we're all seeing it, but my thought on here was that Corum is back. He's falling forward. The little things that he does, he gets hit, he'll get you another yard. Let's go back and take a look at this. All right.
Yeah, I think, Corum said today, Scar, that first run that he had, that 50-plus yard run, he said that's when he felt back. Even though he has talked about, being back, I think today he admitted that's when he really felt it. So, yeah, we've seen it. And I think they did a great job with him getting him back, minimizing the hitting in fall camp. They were smart, and we didn't need to rush it. So here's Isaiah coming off the edge, Stewart, and I like this. I like everything, but when we get to this point right here, okay, this is what defensive players dream for. Okay, you're coming from behind him. He doesn't see you. I like this, and I know our coaches work the hell out of this. I've been to their practices. They work on this. So this is where you got to go for the strip. Come down with that left hand, club that ball out of there. Okay, yeah, we get him tackled. But I'd like to see, if I'm coaching my players here, I'm saying let's go for the strip. So it's a good job.
Back a little bit more. I'm not crazy with 17 on this one because I think he gets too far upfield, and that creates the lane. If he comes down and takes on that guard more flat on the line of scrimmage, that plays.
I get it. Jerry, the thing is about what we do on defense sometimes, I think they because of down and distance, Jerry, I looked at this and I wouldn't yell at them because I think this is one of those times they let these guys pin their ears back.
Okay.
I think because of down and distance, if this was 1st and 10, 3rd and 3, I think his technique would have been totally differently. So I wouldn't yell at him until I know how he's getting coached there. I think they're letting him pin his ears back though, because he doesn't do that on 1st and 10.
Okay.
He understands down and distance. 3rd and 18, that's a whole different deal. So that's what I'm thinking as an edge player. So getting movement there.
Again, our movement all day was good. Our movement up front was good.
Jerry, what do you think about this formation? Run, pass. Why are we bringing that tight end in there?
Okay, I'll tell you why. Here's the deal. Scar, I used to run the stack eye at Wayland, and you used to tell me if you'd split out that tight end a little bit more, that would give me all kinds of problems. Well, here's one of the problems. What do you do with that wide out tight end? Do you put somebody on him and squeeze him? Or do you let him run like free like this down the middle of the field? I mean, that's just a great alignment by the tight end in that formation. You're keeping your best blocker in to block the edge, and you're giving your tight end room to move down the field. So I like that formation. I like that alignment there. That's a nice
good job by JJ and Loveland. Nice catch. Kid's a hell of an athlete, big, tall target. The pistol, we run it occasionally. It gives you different things. It sometimes, Denny, you'd be surprised how much headaches and so how much of a game plan goes into is the back here, is the back here, is the back here. And a lot of people's defense is predicated, and they do things based on the position of the back. So Michigan plays with it. They play games with it. Just something that we need to understand. And he throws a nice ball here.
I want to run that back one more time, Scar, because I want to show you something. We'll see it again on the play. More and more teams are going with this slot receiver going to the flag or to the deep seam. This time we're looking at Wilson. He gives a great head fake like he's going to the seam, and then he cuts back in. This is a very difficult pattern to
he pumps out here and comes on.
And he comes back underneath. It's a beautiful pattern, and JJ delivers the ball right on the money.
Out of Hawaii, Roman Wilson. All right, let's take a look at this play here. Here we go on defense. What's it down and distance? 2nd and 8. Get some pressure. Throw a little flat pass. This is the young freshman, number 20. Danny, what's his that's the Hill kid, right?
Yeah, they call him Shug.
Anyway, he's got to get a better angle.
Oh, sorry.
He's got to – I got it actually drawn, but he's got to come out here. He's got to be left shoulder. He's got to know he's got a guy right in here helping him. They pick up a first down because he takes a bad angle. He'll get it corrected. Hopefully we learn that against these guys and not at Michigan State. This was a good team to play because they ran a lot of tight ends. Here we come back with this, but actually this is Moore in the game here. 3 down linemen. Moore is in the game. This is 3rd and 4. Let's see what we do here. We bring a backer, not much pressure, and we pick it off. That's 28, Denny. What's his name, 28?
Quentin Johnson.
Quentin Johnson. Not a lot of good pressure. This quarterback, I don't like this scheme. I mean, we could have got we're pinned in over here. I don't know. There's nothing here. We could have ran out here. I don't understand that. But anyway, the kid throws a ball, high risk, 3rd and 4. Nice job by the young guy getting it going. Let's move on.
Nice pick.
Okay, here's the play where I was talking about where that inside zone could hit either on the front on this side or look at the wham block. If we go back to it, look at the wham block from Loveland. Look at the hole between the wham of Loveland and that tackle. Look at the move. Look at that hole right there. That's what I'm talking about. Where that ball can hit anywhere, and that's a difficult play to defend.
I worked with Freddie Jackson at the Michigan camp, longtime Michigan coach, and he talked about vision. He said some guys you just can't coach it. You just can't coach the vision for this running back. That's the thing. If you're going to run inside outside zone, man, you don't know where the hole's going to hit, and that's the thing he talked about in terms of trying to recruit these guys who can see things. So yeah, you make a great point there.
That's a 3-yard gain, but it could have been 8.
All right, Jerry, look, what's going on here? I'm thinking this might be Donovan Edwards. I'm not sure what's going on with the protection. They got
first of all, you got a double A blitz.
3,
you got
4.
You got a double A blitz. You got actually 6 coming. You got 2 A's, 2 B's, and 2 C's. Donovan is definitely wrong here, going opposite. That's definitely a missed assignment here somewhere.
Okay, so
I'm thinking Donovan Edwards is supposed to pick up that linebacker on the defensive right, offensive left.
okay, so is the offensive line all looking to the right here?
I think they're gapping. Yes, I think they're gapping and protecting that backside. Yes.
So he should be looking. He should be understanding that he has this A gap here.
Right. It's a tough block. There's no question about it. You don't want to put the running back on a linebacker too often.
I mean, he's not even in the game to get that block. You know,
absolutely.
There's a mental breakdown somewhere in this deal here. You know, that's just a mental breakdown somewhere, and it's not good. So that's that. That's why you got to have running backs that can block.
Should JJ have called that? You know, when you see or the center, shouldn't they have said, "Hey, we got two guys here in the A gap. Let's take care of this." Center or JJ or
Jerry, how is that? I mean, that's coached up all year long, right? And how you're going to communicate this, Jerry?
Exactly. You're communicating on the defensive side all day long, right, Scar? You're saying what we're in and what you got, what coverage we're in, what our fronts are, and where's the strength, and all this other stuff. The same thing should be going on in the offense. Somebody's got to be calling that out. Typically, we used to have the center called out. Nowadays, more and more, the quarterbacks are calling that out.
Jerry, if the tight end's staying in, there's absolutely no reason he should be coming out here, right?
No reason at all.
Yeah, so this is just a mental breakdown somewhere. You know, either he's supposed, you know, it's just, if I had to bet, I would put it on this guy right here.
We don't know if they communicated or not. We don't know what happened there.
Yeah, we just don't know, but it's wrong, and it's got to get coached up. So
absolutely.
that's that.
Absolutely.
Okay, this let's take a look. This stuff here, defensively, man. These are the things that you only learn from multiple. You can look at film all day long, but you have to play the game. You have to play the game. See, he's what's down in distance, 1st and 10. Okay, so he's taking it. I'm gonna go real slow. He's taking a step, and he sees a weak block. He said, wait a minute, that is a weak block, but it happened so fast. You have to recognize it. Like, wait a minute, that's a weak block. Now he sees the quarterback looking over here. Something's wrong. He smells something. Something ain't right. He's got a deep drop. Quarterbacks like to take a deep drop on screen, and he's smelling something. Something ain't right. And here instead of rushing, he's backpedaling. He's right there. And the quarterback takes the cheese. I mean, those are the kind of plays when they happen. You don't normally see it from young guys. I think it's a guy who's played a lot of football, and I just think it's a great play. It's you can talk about all the size, strength, and speed, but that's a great job by him. Jerry, take a look at this play here. Here we get the ball back from that interception. There's 88 and 89 in the game. No 18.
Yeah, that's worrisome. Yes. Yeah, okay. Now again, here's this play right here in a nutshell. You got a couple different blocking schemes going on. You got a inside zone play on the backside, and you got a G scheme on the front side. Typically, what you're doing is kicking that outside guy out with the fullback. This time, the fullback and the front side guard are working, and the front side guard is going to get a G scheme and kick out the outside linebacker, and the fullback is going to lead up and get on the linebacker. What I'm really happy about this play is watch their feet. Watch our people's feet, our players' feet. They just keep running. They're engaged. They keep their feet moving. They stay engaged. And once the defensive guy reaches, it's over.
Yeah, this guy here, Bredesen, Jerry, he ain't afraid to block.
No,
the problem is this, Denny. The problem is this. If I'm coaching against Michigan, I'm just going to keep it real. And these guys seeing us, they know a hell of a lot more than me. If I see this formation, I want to know where the hell is 89. Yep. What I do defensively is going to be where the hell is 89? And it's a bad thing. It's not a good thing. We got to be able to run to this kid here. We have to be left-handed and right-handed. We got to be 89-handed and 88-handed. And we got to get there. Let's go. Let's move on. I always felt this as a player that sometimes the best pressure is no stunt, just let me go. Speed, bull. Here's 2nd and 10. And I think that's what we're doing here. We got bull rushes by these inside guys, and these two outside guys they're saying, you know what, just pin your ears back. We're not running any stunt, and just go. And we get, we get edge guys beating their guy. Look at Isaiah coming off the edge, McGregor coming up in the face, but we get great push because you basically told these inside guys, hey, man, this is bull rush. Just take these dudes and walk them back into the center. Take them back or walk them back into the quarterback. So I like the concept that you don't always need a stunt. And there it is. Let's move on. What do we got here, Jerry?
Another wham block, another wham scheme out of Deuce here, out of two wide receivers, two wide receivers, two slots, and you're putting the big tight end in motion to get the wham. It's just a different way of looking at an inside zone concept.
Why do you think they came out with 2 and 2 and then motioned? They must have. What do you think? Why do you think they motioned out of 22?
Well, I think for a fact they're motioning out of 22 to get that wham block on the edge, and that's what he's doing. Now, off of this play, it's going to be some kind of boot. Imagine if JJ keeps the ball and Barnum's out in the flat. There's a lot of plays that can happen off of this one, and I do like the run. I tell you what, Edwards is running a lot harder right now, and he's moving piles. And
there's 73 in the game, so I was taking a close look, and it's a good problem. We got we got another guy that can block over here, so that's that.
Great. What? Run it back one more time. I'm going to give some love into my linemen. I love them. Watch their feet. Look at 65 and 60. Look at Nugent and Zenner. They just keep their feet moving, run people into the linebackers, 8, 10, 12 yards. That's Division I football, 8, 10, 12 yards off the ball. That you don't see that often.
They're taking this dude and putting him into
the
Hill Street back here, Jared. That was Hill that ran this way, right?
What we used to call that, Scar? I can't remember that.
I don't know. That dude's on roller skates, man.
Pancake Lane or something.
Yeah,
like that. I don't know.
The dude is on roller skates. Danny, you see that? I mean, the guy he's launched. So that's a great thing.
That I love it.
It's Nugent.
He's on roller skates. And we got a kicker, man. What do we got here? This was one of the goals I talked about.
Boy, I miss Moody in my fantasy league too.
Anyway, one of our goals accomplished, in my opinion. We know this kid can kick. Turner can kick. And he made some 50-yarders, and he's confident. He's kicked in the big house. He hasn't had the big pressure one yet, but I got to believe the team and the coaches and this kid that we feel confident about where we're at with the kicker. So let's take a look here. Gap sound stunt. Last week on the goal line, they scored a touchdown. We weren't gap sound. This same stunt, the same exact stunt. Now we're all slanting in there, and we're sound. We got Kenneth Grant coming in here. Everybody's got their gap. It's gap sound, nothing. Stuffed like a Christmas goose, nothing. Let's move on. Gap sound stunts. Good job. This is what
okay, Scar. This is what I'm talking about with that block. This is a tough block for 53, and he's a good blocker. I think if we added a little arc and brought 53 out to the edge, that lineman's going to get upfield. It's going to be an easier.
I get it, but Jerry, I played the position and I coached it. Guess what? You have to run this occasionally. If you just and just so they understand what you're talking about not blocking them and coming here and trapping them.
Or yes.
Okay, I get it. But the problem is, if I know you're doing that every single down, I'm not honoring this, and then now I'm just squeezing and killing your guard. So you have to have the ability to do both. You can't just. That's why you got to do both. And I'd say that's good enough. If I'm playing at the line of scrimmage, I would take that. If I'm coaching this kid, that's not terrible by it's not terrible by big.
My thing is, Scar, we've only run this. We haven't arced anybody yet. So those
they got it in the book. I'm sure they have.
I'm sure they got it in the book. I'd like to see it. I want to see it because
hey, Denny, you hear me and Jerry going back and forth a little bit?
Yes.
what that is, that's what happens in coaches' meetings. This is what happens when coaches look at film together. That's why I'm glad I got Jerry on here, because sometimes you look at things and you got, sometimes there's disagreements.
This is a nice coaches meeting too.
But you understand, a lot of there's no F-bombs flying around here. Ain't no fists getting thrown around here.
This is a nice coaches meeting.
Anyway, this is Jerry. This is something that I wonder how they coach him, because the biggest thing about this play is, okay, when you do this, okay, right there, the linebackers are reading that mesh point. Okay, and now when they see that quarterback, that the running back has the ball, they're really, they're playing run. So I wonder how much they coach him to look over here behind the linebackers. But anyway, the end result is what it is. There's good protection.
I'm thinking JJ has a predetermined route on this one, and it is 6. It is Johnson.
Yeah, but the guy's covered.
This is something. This kid. This is a play you're going to see from a kid that's going to be playing on Sunday. This is freaking incredible. JJ could have let it out there a little bit further, let him run under it, and maybe it's incomplete. But this is throw the ball up, let my number 6 go up and get it, and we'll take the consequences.
Here's McGregor.
You guys like that throw then?
It's a 50-50 ball, man.
That's exactly right.
It's I'd rather have. That's why I was talking about. If you have a line, an underneath route that's wide open. I don't know how they're coaching it, but I don't know, man. That's a 50-50 deal. That corner was in good position. We just got a lucky break there. But let's take a look here. Here's McGregor coming off the edge. Kid's a better player. Keeps getting better every year. Beating this guy, smoking him. I like this leverage tackle. Right shoulder, left shoulder. Good stuff. What number is that, Denny, down here? This guy right here.
Let it runs. 13. That's DJ Waller.
Okay, young guy, getting work.
Ohio, I think.
I like seeing, and here's big 73, Jerry. Take a look at him.
Yeah, it's just move. This is an inside zone. This is as simple as it gets. It's an inside zone, and our linemen are just body on body and running their feet. And as soon as the defense reach, they get pancaked. And that's the disadvantage of playing defense. You have to make a tackle. You got to engage and disengage very quickly. Offensive linemen want to play in a phone booth for what it's worth.
Here, I like this.
It used to be.
Hey, Denny, this is the thing that I'm looking at. People want it to beat up Donovan Edwards. I like this stuff. I like this. He's getting hit and he falls forward. People might look at that and say, "Oh, that's nothing." Okay, but this is the stuff he didn't always do as a freshman, and he didn't always do it so much last year. But I like seeing my guy. Okay, it's blocked okay, but there's people there. But he falls forward. He's showing physicalness. So I know a lot of people say, "Scar, you're crazy. It's just it's an extra yard." Whatever. But Jerry, what did Bo always tell our running backs about falling forward to get that extra yard?
I want to see you come out through the other side of the line of scrimmage. That's when I know you're a running back.
Yeah.
And that's what it was. I mean, who's going to pop out through the other end?
Yeah. Here's Orgy in the game, and he played 2 plays, and they're just running looks like an outside zone, Jerry.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's an outside quarterback zone. Great job by 88. Great job on the edge by 18. And this could be a package right here. I mean, if you want to get JJ, if you want to get some running out of the quarterback, that's not a bad look. It's not.
Jerry, it gets back to me as a defensive coach. Okay, if I'm coaching Michigan and this kid's in the game, I'm not playing pass. Sorry, I ain't doing it. Okay, I'm smashing the line of scrimmage until I see this kid throw the football. So I'm just telling you how I'm thinking.
Some of the most wide open pass patterns are.
I get it. Well, then they got to have the courage to show that he can do that.
Yep, absolutely.
You know what I'm doing starting Saturday with Orgy? I'm putting him in there on the wedge like they do in the NFL, and I think he'll score every time from the 1.
There you go, Denny. I like that idea.
All right, here we go again, Jer. Listen, look at this.
He's got to be a better blocker. There's no question. There's no question he's got to do a better job blocking.
That's just terrible.
You know what? And he's going to he's going to tick off some teammates. When running backs don't block, everybody notices it.
I know, and this matters, man. You're absolutely right, Jared. That hey, we're blocking our heck. And if he pins him in, man,
we got all day out there.
JJ's off to the races, man.
Yep.
And then that's a bad deal there. And then we end up throwing the pick. So it's a lot more. Obviously they're both. Neither of them are good enough there. Neither of the big time stars are good enough there. Let's take a look here. Hey. I like this linebacker here, man. This is Hood.
Well, I liked him on a previous play. He comes down and takes that stuff on pretty good.
Now, you talked about edge players coming up, smashing the counter tray. I'd like to see more come in here lower and tougher with more punch, taking on that guard there. He can't get knocked.
I'm wondering, Scar, if they're teaching a technique like this, or if they want more of a wrong arm and come underneath.
No, he's not wrong arming. He's outside leverage.
Oh, I understand what he's doing. I'm just wondering how they're coaching it. Are they coaching it?
Wrong arm is something we do at times, but they're not wrong arming here. But look at this linebacker. I really like this Hood kid. Look at how he stuffs it all up. You see this, Denny? Anyway, that 34 there, that's a great play by him. We got about 5 more plays. We're moving on here.
All right.
And here's this kid here. I talked about this the other night. I don't need 20 plays to see that a kid's going to be something special. Here's this Etta kid, highly recruited. I watched 2 plays he was in, and you can just see the size and the speed. I mean, this is a big kid, and I just like the punch. So he's a guy you watch. He's going to be something special, man. Quiddy Pay, Aiden Hutchinson. He's going to be in that. He's going to be in that deal there. Here we go. Second and 8. This is the second group. I see why they like TJ Guy. He punches. He comes off. See, this is the stuff, Jerry. And as a coach, you're really excited as a coach because now you're getting to coach these young guys. This is Atterbury. He's got to get a little lower in here. He's punching. Comes off. Got to try to make that play. But you got a lot of young guys in here, and they're only getting a few plays. And you got to really make a play when you get a chance in here in this time of the game. A couple more plays, and here's this young Jones kid down here. We lit the ball outside. 3 guys lit the ball outside the defense. I wasn't happy with this. This is 1st and 10, and guys got to be outside of this. He's got to punch, be outside of this. He's got to punch, be outside of this. All 3 of them are not good enough. This is too much on that little BS play. That's not good. That's fundamental Michigan football. We can't let that ball outside the defense. And I think that's about it. I got one more play. This kid Pierce here, Denny, he's another kid. They put him in late, and he's done some things. I like how he's punching, taking out, keeping his gap. Again, everybody else is looking at who made the tackle, but I see a guy playing at the line of scrimmage, playing a double team, and he's right up in there, not getting knocked off the ball. He did some things in there that were pretty good. But we're all done there, Denny.
Trey Pierce from Chicago.
Yeah, there's some good-looking young guys in there. So a lot to work on, man. Those coaches were happy to see that film and dig into it and coach some guys up. There might have been some guys that left with hurt feelings, but a lot of good stuff too.
Here's a question, and we'll ask a couple. We're running out of time here. Gary says, why is this the only channel that is concerned about the 2 deep?
Because you got guys who coached here, man. Jerry, we sat there and listened to Schembechler. He was so concerned just as much about who's the second string guy as the starter, man. You can't talk next man up if you don't get that guy ready. So that's my answer, Jerry. You can take this next question.
How many times? I was going to go back and talk about that other question. How many times you see coaches on the sidelines when there's a blowout going on and they're still coaching as hard as they would in the first quarter? These are your backups. They're one snap away from being the starter, and so you have to be there.
Real quick, I remember my first year as a head coach. I had 3 guys at the same position get hurt, and I didn't have a 4th guy. I was on the sideline coaching a guy who played a different position how to play that position. When you go through that as a coach, you understand why you got to have depth. Go ahead, Denny, whatever you want to fire next, whatever question.
Well, there's some discussion here about Orgy. We have seen him play in the spring game. We see what kind of build he has. Somebody's saying that he should be running back 3. Somebody's saying he's too talented to keep him off the field. Look, if you go by the way that they were dispensed for the playing time in the non-conference, he's the 5th string quarterback. So, you've got JJ, Davis Warren went in the 2 games as the quarterback number 2. You had Jack Tuttle, who got hurt, and then you got Denegal, who seems to be in front of Orgy. So, what I think this is the fans, look, they see a guy who looks really strong. Harbaugh said he's could be the greatest returner ever. He didn't help the cause there, by saying that. People like backups. People really like the backup quarterback, and people really like running quarterback. So Denegal has all of these things that fans like. I think they should use him in the wedge, but I'm not going to, talk about a 5th string quarterback, act like he should be quarterback number 2 when I watched him play, 2 snaps this last game.
Look, Danny, I would like to see that kid. If I'm, what I do not want to see from Orgy, because I know they can run all that quarterback power and all that stuff with him. If he can roll them out and throw some high percentage, low risk, little dink passes and do it consistently, now he's a problem for me on defense. He's a problem that I can't just load up and stop those, 100% run when he's in the game. So I don't know what they're thinking. He is a hell of an athlete, and we'll find out as we move along.
Nice to have that kind of depth.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. You guys have
nice
any final thoughts? Go ahead, Jerry. You got a final thought?
No, I like I said, there are a lot of great coaching points on this film. There's a lot we can get better on, and we beat a very good Bowling Green team that's they're going to make some noise in the MAC. And so, we had 3 good games to get us ready for the Big Ten, and let's get going.
Speaking about depth, and why we think it's so important, Jerry, we were in the Rose Bowl back in '83. Our starter get knocked out in the first quarter. The guy we had all year. Who goes in the game? The great Dave Hall. Okay, heck of a quarterback. Went in there and did a great job. Kept the game competitive. We didn't win the game. We lost our big tackle too. But speaking of Dave Hall, Denny, he's got a former Michigan quarterback. His daughter Anna Hall. She is battling and going to be hoping to be a representative for our Olympic team as a heptathlon athlete. Jerry, I talked to him the other day, so keep an eye out for Anna Hall, daughter of the great Dave Hall, great Michigan player, great teammate, good man. Anyway, that's my final thought. Rutgers, and my pick, Denny, I'm sorry, we're a darn good football team. Rutgers, that's way too many points. That's way too many points for this football game, 25 points. But take Clemson at home, getting 2 points. Are you kidding me? Against Florida State? That's my pick. And Rutgers is way too many points, 25 points.
I like that Maryland team over Michigan State. Isn't that a 4-point spread or something like that? Maryland is my pick over
I haven't
State.
been looking at the numbers. All right, Jerry, we'll put you down for Maryland. Scar, we'll put you down for the upset with Clemson. And too many points. I agree with you on that. I thought the number would be in the low teens. So 25.
I agree with that.
Way too much. I think that number's coming down. All right, guys, great to have you, and we'll talk with you next week.
All right, go Blue.
Hail to the victors.
See you next week.